All right, good evening, folks. Welcome to Between the Lines, round one playoff edition. We got 10 games on the docket tonight on Between the Lines. The first game we're going to take a look at features South Mecklenburg, number 16 seed, hosting West Forsyth, the number 17 seed. Coming down from the Winston-Salem area, you see right there, West Forsyth 5-4 on the season, South Meck 8-2 on the season. You start looking at this, it's a very even matchup from the Max Prep standpoint. They have West Forsyth ranked 15th in their class. They have South Mecklenburg ranked 14th in their class. See, West Forsyth on the season went 3-3 in conference, but they did well on the road with a 3-1 away record, while South Meck is 3-0 at home. This season went 4-1 in the conference in the SOMAC that we've talked about all season long. All right, so MaxPreps is predicting a close game, but they are predicting a South Meck victory of 28-26. We can actually round it up to 29, 26. Let's see here. Let's see what we can find out about West Forsyth real quick. No stats. Boo on that. So we'll take a look at some of the teams that they've played this year to try to get an idea of where these guys are this year. Let me click on schedule. That would be more appropriate for that. So we see AC Reynolds, they took care of pretty early in the season. We see a loss to Weddington, 19-7 on the road. And we're talking about that game. Lost to Glenn, 22-13. Reagan, 15-9. See on down the line here. There's a loss to the rival East Forsyth, 35-14. So they're coming off a pretty tough loss to East Forsyth. But you see in the games that they dominated Reynolds, dominated Davie, dominated Tabor, and dominated Oak Grove, along with AC Reynolds. So when they win pretty convincingly. When they lose, relatively close except for the East Forsyth loss. So we know West Forsyth is well coached with Coach Snow leading the way up there for those guys. For South Meck, we'll take a look at their schedule. Let's get back to that screen. So 8-2 on the year. No stats for South Meck either, but we got a pretty good feel for them. Only losses were to Charlotte Catholic and RG Kell in very close games. They won the close one against Olympic, the close one against Myers Park, and then of course they, dominated Harding last week. So they should be coming in this game in a pretty good place. Didn't see anyone really go down last week against Harding. The key for South Meck, of course, is, running the football with Jacob Newman behind the big offensive line. Hopefully, I'm sure there'll be a big playoff crowd, at South Meck. I'm trying to think of the last playoff home game at South Meck. Gosh, has to be back in the days of probably 08, 09, when they had the team that made the state semifinals. That's when they were back running the wing T long time ago. So it's been a long time coming for South Meck. I'm sure they'll have great support. West Forsyth, hopefully they travel pretty well. I know they've got a good tradition up there. We went up there a couple years ago when Vance at the time was playing in the playoffs, and they had a huge crowd at their home stadium. So hopefully they travel well down here to Charlotte. And the winner of this game, let's get back to the bracket. So the winner of this game, I hate these ads. Come on, Max Preps. The winner of this game would play the winner of Huff and Page, projected, most likely to be Huff, next week on the road if Huff does end up winning that game. All right. Next game we'll take a look at is Butler, the number 8 seed hosting number 25 Mallet Creek in a traditional Charlotte rivalry with a lot of history. Mallet Creek coming in here at 4-4, while Butler's coming in at 7-2. On the year, Max Preps ranks Mallet Creek number 18 in their class, and they rank Butler number 10 in their class. Mallet Creek with a 1-2 record on the road, while Butler is 4-1 at home. Max Prep says this will be a Butler victory of 35-22. So Max Prep is predicting a 2-touchdown victory for the Bulldogs over the Mavericks. Let's see what we can find out about Mallet Creek. Another team with no stats. Well, once again, we do have a pretty good feel for Mallet Creek. We see their wins this season came over Providence, who is another playoff team, with Charlotte, another playoff team. And those came early in the season. A win over Hopewell and a win over West Meck, who just barely missed the playoffs. And then the last game, they lost to Chambers 32-7. They lost to Huff 31-7. See, North Meck, that was the game that was the homecoming game, 17-14, and then Gaffney, 38-14 on the road. So, Mallet Creek team is, you're looking at it, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games, so they're not coming in exactly on fire right now, but sometimes the playoffs can bring out the best in you. So conversely, on the other side, taking a look at Butler, 7-2 on the year with some stats. We'll take a look at those. All right, so we got, Xavier Booker. It's like 6 games are in, so not all of them, but he gives a pretty good idea there that he's had a pretty good season. 8 touchdowns based off those stats. And then running the football, we know Butler has a multifaceted attack. You see 3 guys in triple digits with Ty Moore, Xavier Booker, and Trayvon Tinsley leading the charge right there. And then on the receiving side of things, a very balanced attack of Ty Moore. There's Tinsley again. There's Judge, and then Eli Sylvester. So multiple guys that can get it done in Coach Hale's offense for sure. Let's see if they got some defensive stats on there. Looks like just offense. So those are some guys you can look out for, for Butler for sure on that side of things. And then defensively, there's several guys that, stand out in my mind. The linebacker, Cramer, is a very talented young man. The corner, and Alex Edwards, it's a very talented player. It's 6'1", 180. He will probably cover the best receiver there for Mallet Creek. And then there's one other one that I want to highlight. Of course, Bryce Dixon, 6'3", 280, the big D tackle. Incredible talent. So there's a lot of guys that can get it done for these guys. Jaden Coleman is a good player at linebacker. So there's a lot of, and then and you start talking about games in the playoffs. Special teams is big. Elijah Sweat is a very good kicker and punter, for those guys, and handles those things well. So, and then Aaron McIver is the guy to watch on the offensive line for the Bulldogs. So, I expect a big crowd at this one. This was probably the, matchup with the most star power, I would say, when you start looking at Charlotte matchups in the first round, familiarity and all that. Of course, Zayflix will be at this game, so you'll have some good highlights. And hopefully there'll be a good crowd. I expect, general public would, kind of boost this crowd up a little bit, so it should be a good night at Butler. It's going to be cold. Cold is coming. You guys can probably feel it tonight. But it should be a good time for sure over there at Butler Friday night. A couple comments on the box. Oh, that's the hashtag this week. Saddle the sun. Good gracious. We'll get to that in just a minute. Clear the cobwebs. Okay. I don't know that one, but all right. All right, let's go to our next game here in the bracket. Thank you guys for watching as always. Let's see here. Here we go. We're going to look at number 5, Glenn, hosting number 28, Providence. Don't let those seed numbers fool you. I think this game is a lot closer than the seeds would indicate here. Providence is 6-4 on the season, and Glenn at 7-2. All right, so Providence is ranked 21st in their class, while Glenn is ranked 5th. Glenn is 3-0 at home this season, while Providence is 2-2 on the road. Max Preps predicts a high-scoring game, but they really favor Glenn in this one. They're saying Glenn 41, Providence 21, so they're saying a 3-touchdown win for Glenn over Providence. Let's get into it then. All right. Providence we know pretty well. I feel like they've played a very strong schedule in the beginning, and those things kind of leveled off as the season went along. There's the loss of South Meck, another playoff team. The loss to Mallet Creek, who's a playoff team. Lost to Catholic, who's a playoff team. And lost to Butler, playoff team. So those 4 games, while not total blowouts, I think those games helped kind of strengthen Providence early in the season. And they come back. Mooresville, that's a big win against a playoff team. Independence, just missed the playoffs. That's a big win. Big win over Rocky River. And then the forfeit to Garinger. And the win over East Meck. So you see, Providence is playing their best football of the season right now. They've won 5 games in a row. Now, like we said, you see the schedule, some of those teams are not in the playoffs, but when you play teams like that, you want to be dominant, and that's what, Providence has been. 20-point victory, 32-point victory, 20-point victory, and 38-point victory. So when you're playing well, going into the playoffs, you have a lot of confidence, and I think that's going to be a big key here. On the other side of things, let's take a look at Glenn. Very talented team. They got some stats, so let's take a look at those. It's got a lot of talented seniors on this team. So the quarterback right there, Coleman, is a good player. I've seen a good bit of film on him. 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 7 games on the season. And then running the football, they got looks like a multifaceted attack right here. Multiple guys. Sutton and Fitzgerald are the leading rushers there, but you see they've got other guys that have some ability to get it done. Coleman, not really a dual threat guy. Only 102 on the season there. And then receiving, Smith is a big play guy with 40 catches, and then you got Fitzgerald, who also plays running back. And then Davis is a threat right there. So I think for Glenn, that's going to be the big key. I think Providence does a really good job in stopping the run. They're a run-first team. They see it a lot in practice. The key for Glenn has got to be big plays out of the passing game to have success. And, try to, keep that Providence defense honest. And then you flip it on the other side for Providence. Their key is going to be that big offensive line going to work. And you start talking about offensive linemen, you got to highlight talented left tackle. I just want to get his name on the screen before I start talking about him. And there he is, Connor Drake right there at 6'6", 315. But they got some other big guys up there. You see Topinka right there at 6'1", 290. Tom Jonovic at 6'5", 310. There's a lot of beef up front. And that's going to be the key for Glenn. Can they stop the run? Jamar Price, of course, is the big linchpin in that run game. So I think we've got I think Glenn can run it, but I think their big plays will come out of the passing game, and then conversely for Providence, I think their big plays will come out of the run game. The team that can establish their tempo early has a big chance of winning the game for sure. The longer this game is close, the more I like Providence. If Glenn is able to jump out to a 2-3 touchdown lead, I definitely like their chances more. And talking about this game in the bracket show, we know Glenn lost big to Butler in the first round in the spring. I think they're going to have, like we talked about, huge motivation to not let Charlotte come in their house and end their season once again. So I think it's one of the better games in the first round Friday night. All right, let's get back to the bracket and take a look at our next game. All right, add off the screen. Here's Kyle. Providence was easily the largest O-line we saw all year. Absolutely blew us off the ball, especially the second half. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Big key for those guys. All right. Here we go. Myers Park, 12 seed hosted number 21 Mooresville. One of the more interesting games in the first round. Mooresville coming into this game at 6-4 on the year, and Myers Park coming in at 7-3. All right. So Max Preps has Mooresville ranked 23rd in the state, and then Myers Park is 7th in the state. Mooresville is 3-3 on the road this year, while Myers Park is 3-1 at home. All right. Max Preps is predicting a Mooresville victory. How about that, Kyle? I know that makes you night. They're saying Mooresville 25, Myers Park 24. Less than a field goal game between Mooresville and Myers Park. Well, that is interesting stuff, Max Preps. So let's take a look at it here. So, of course, Mooresville on the season, they finished 5-1 in the Greater Metro 4 Conference, so they're playing their best football at the right time of the year. They have a nice win over West Rowan, who finished second in the SPC. Win over Cox Mill, who's a playoff team. And then their big win over Lake Norman last week. So they're coming in off their probably best win of the season against their rival. So they're playing with a lot of confidence, especially on defense, to shut those guys out. Now, let's see. They got some stats here. We can check those out too. They've had a bit of a changing at the quarterback spot. I believe, Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong, but Brown is still the quarterback. He's had a couple of good games down the stretch here, 10 touchdowns on the season. The bell cow, Howell, has had a good season running the ball, 812 yards, about 90 yards a game there with 9 touchdowns. And then receiving, Reed is a speed demon, big play threat guy, 40 catches on the year. And then Pigeon is coming on as well. You see all these seniors that are contributing. That's a big factor when you have seniors leading the charge in the playoffs. You know that those guys have been through the wars. They're not going to get rattled. They're going to remain focused and keep everybody in line, which is very important. All right. Let's see. Yeah, Kyle wants to come in. Our defense has been playing its best ball to finish the season. We'll need to rely on them this week. Big part of that defense is Mr. Xavier Booker. And I've been trying to tell people and coaches, college coaches, about this young man because, I think he's going to be – he's already pretty big, but I think he's going to be big time. We've got a tradition here in the Charlotte Metro of big linemen on the defensive side of the ball doing big things. And at 6'2", 276, only a sophomore, he's got 2 more years to get things done. And then Elijah Wilson is another really good player at the DB spot from Mooresville as well. And then the young linebacker, Caleb Edstrom. He's only a sophomore, but he's also a menace in the middle of the defense. You're looking at Myers Park now. Myers Park has had an interesting season in a number of ways. They really, actually, let me back up before I go to stats. I'm going to illustrate this on their schedule. You see, they had the loss to Huff to start the season, but you see they put up good numbers, winning over Clover, Reagan, went down to Buford, nationally ranked team, and then Berry. So at that part of the season, they were explosive offense. They were able to put points up against anybody. Huff, number one team in the state, Buford, a nationally ranked team, and they are able to still be in those games, for a while. And then they lose their best receiver, Kamarion Thornton, and they have to change, how they play. They went in OT at home against Cardinal Gibbons, which is a great win. Cardinal Gibbons ranked high in the Eastern poll, Eastern bracket, I should say. And then they, win over RGK, have the shutout, win over Harding, only 3 points to South, making a tough loss. And then they win over Olympic last week in a important game, 14-10. So Myers Park on defense, getting it done, while the offense, has had to kind of change, what they do a little bit. Now the guys on that defensive side, from reports that I've been getting from people, Jayden Scott is a very talented DB, kind of a box safety, but he can cover also. Very talented young man with a lot of offers. And then I heard about, and I watched some film on this kid also. I'm going to try to get to him right here. This linebacker, Donald Sias. Really active. I really love his athleticism. He's listed as a linebacker. On the next level, if he chooses to play football, they, put some weight on him. I think, he has his best football ahead of him. But he's a fun guy to watch on the defensive side of football. And then the other guy I really want to highlight on defense is a defensive end, Deems May, where's I think it's 88. There he is right there. Yep, 6'3", 200. He just picked up an offer from Gardner Webb. He's a very talented young man too. And then on the interior, big 95 Jordan Potrose Tinsley, absolute big time run stopper. And that's going to be a big key against Mooresville, who likes to establish that run game with Howell. So my projection on this one, I think it's going to be low scoring. Special teams, I think can play a big role in this. Field position, big role in low scoring games in the playoffs where it's cold. And you got two pretty good defenses playing their best football on the season. Special teams, fumble, a punt, surprise onside kick, 35, 40-yard field goals, those kind of things make the difference, in what I think is going to be a close game. So I know Myers Park will have a good crowd. I know Mooresville will have a good crowd. They always travel well. So play a football over off of Colony Road. Should be a good time, man. All right, so yeah, I got the Mooresville expert here. Sebastian's the QB, Howell at running back, Westmoreland at running back, great change of pace. Xavier Booker, Caleb Edstrom will be key. And high praise for Caleb. High praise right there, man. Storm Moreau's a heck of a player. Heck of a player right there. And I think that's going to be a heck of a game on Friday. All right. Let's jump to our next game we're going to preview here. And it's going to be RGK, the 4th seed, taking on number 29, Northwest Guilford. This game is at RGK. RGK earning the number 1 seed out of the SOMEC based on RPI ranking. Northwest Guilford 5-5 on the season, while RGK is 7-2. Let's see here. Northwest Guilford is 33rd in their class, while RGK is 8th in their class. But interestingly enough, Max Preps is predicting a very close game despite its own rankings. Northwest Guilford 29, RGK 29. So Max Preps think it's going to be a tie. Well, let's take a look at Northwest Guilford and see what they got going on here. All right, so 5-5 on the season, 3-4 in league play. You see they had a tough loss to East Forsyth earlier this year. Looks like tough loss to Grimsley. Lost to Page, who's the 32nd seed in this bracket. So it's not a big win of note right there. The loss to Page, kind of gives me an idea of where we are here. And I'm kind of questioning Max Preps on this one a little bit. Stats on the year for Northwest Guilford. Young man Ballou at quarterback has thrown the ball a good bit. 24 touchdowns on the season, over 2,000 yards passing as a sophomore. That's impressive, but he is definitely a pocket guy, not a dual threat by the rushing numbers. We see Simmons and Gadet are the two main running backs, and then receiving-wise, Mr. Cloud is a sophomore, 57 catches. My goodness. I'll have to check this young man out on Twitter, Trent Cloud. Okay. Some big numbers right there. That's awesome. He's only a sophomore. So, obviously, he's going to be the guy to watch on offense for Northwest Guilford. They got a couple other guys that can mix it up, but there's a big play threat right here in Carter. 606 yards on 23 catches. Cloud's more of a shorter guy. Maybe he plays out of the slot. And then Carter's the big play guy on the outside. And so that's what numbers tell me. Good stuff right there. Okay. And then on the other side, we know RGK pretty well. Check them out for the Northwest Guilford fans. Maybe they're watching. RGK 7-2 on the season. The only two losses came to Porter Ridge and Myers Park, back-to-back at that matter. Once those happened, they kind of got things correct. They had the big win over South Meck. That was, they got off to a great start in that one. We were at the Olympic game, saw them up close, and then they finished the season strong offensively against Berry right there in the big 49-7 win. So, some guys I like on RGK. I could do it by heart, but I want to put their name on the screen. I like what I saw out of Kevin Tarpley. He's a good-sized outside linebacker kid. Tackles well. Really impressed with that. Of course, Jack Curtis at quarterback. One of the best quarterbacks in Charlotte. Joshua Switzer. He's a very physical player. Moves well in space at the safety position. Where's my man? There he is. Kyler Watson. I love this kid on the D-line. Really good physical talent, 6'3", 235. Ethan Pursuti at wide receiver has been doing a great job all season long. Of course, Jameer at corner is one of our favorites here in the Charlotte area with his ability at the DB spot. Jason Angulo. I really love that kid. A physical player. They love sending him on safety blitzes. He loves to hit. Great speed. He can make game-changing plays. Really, really good player right there. So, those are some guys I like from RGK. My feeling on this, I think RGK is the favorite here, despite what Max Preps Analytics says. So, should be a good time down there in Ballantyne on a Friday night. All right, let me check my list here and see what's next. Let's see here. Okay, let's go down to the other side. Marvin Ridge, 14 seed, hosting number 19 Charlotte Catholic. And this game happened a lot over the past couple years as these two were in the same conference. Both teams coming into this game at 7-2. One of the best matchups on Friday night, just to be honest with you. Catholic is ranked 17th in their class according to Max Preps and 2-0 on the road, while Marvin Ridge is ranked 13th in their class and 4-2 at home. Max Prep says this was a Marvin Ridge victory of 32-21. So it's predicting almost a 2-touchdown spread for the Mavericks. Yep, Mavericks. Right? Yep. Mavericks over the Cougars. All right, taking a look at Charlotte Catholic this year. They got some stats, so we'll go to the stats and check those guys out. All right, and they through 6 games, but you get a good idea right here. Sean Boyle does a good job protecting the football. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception right there. Of course, they don't throw it a lot, but they throw it more than they used to, and they can be effective with that because they have such a great running game. In the running game, speaking of that, Williams is a talented young man, but he's had some injuries this year. And you see they got Brewer right there, kind of toting the load. Sylvine comes in with some good numbers right there, 6.9 yards a carry. And then Boyle has some ability to run as well right there. And then receiving, there's Jack Larson, the star tight end that has all the accolades. You may look at the numbers and say, wow, 13 catches, that's it. But you got to understand Charlotte Catholic's offense. And you got to see this young man in person. I'm telling you, he came to our camp as a freshman and just showed out. I mean, caught everything. So there's a reason why, a lot of colleges are interested in him. They've said that this Catholic team is younger, and they're trying to, not used to, being in so many close games. But, those kind of things really help you out in this time of the year. You see, they started out, they beat South Meck, they beat Hickory Ridge, huge wins. They beat Providence, lost to Butler in a great game. And then they're coming off a win over East Meck. So they've had 2 weeks to get ready. So they should be fresh coming into this playoff game with Marvin Ridge. And, that counts for something because Marvin Ridge is coming off of a very tough game, conference championship game against Weddington, where Weddington won that football game 23-18, I believe. But you see what Marvin Ridge has done on the year. That big win over Monroe, really kind of woke us all up to what these guys can do. And then on down the line, you see the only other loss was to Weddington right there after they lost to RG Kell earlier this year. But they've got some stats as well. Coach Carter is a Queen City Senior Bowl coach, doing a great job with these guys. Metters, really talented young man, as a sophomore. You see he's throwing the ball pretty well. He can also run. You see right there, he's the leading rusher based off of these stats. But you see they got a couple other guys in Kelson and Lazuski that can get it done. The big key against Charlotte Catholic is being balanced. When you're one-dimensional against them one way or the other, they're too well coached and they scheme, very good to take away what you do best. And then you look at the receivers right there, young, really good kid at the tight end spot. You see Meeks right there as a threat. Reykjavik's is a great two-way player. He can play offense or defense. He has great size and athletic ability. So there's a lot of talent on this Marvin Ridge team that stands out for sure. So it's going to be a heck of a football game. These two teams know each other. It's going to be a huge crowd. Catholic always travels well. Marvin Ridge, at home, They're going to have a great crowd. So if you don't have anywhere to go Friday night, I would go to Marvin Ridge. Straight up. That's going to be a great, great football game here in the first round of the state playoffs. All right. Let's see where we're going next here. Let's do Hickory Ridge. Hickory Ridge, 7 seed, is hosting number 26 AC Reynolds. AC Reynolds on the season is 7-3, and then Hickory Ridge is 8-2. Taking a look at this in detail, Max Preps has AC Reynolds ranked 29th in their class, and they have Hickory Ridge ranked 11th in their class. But despite that, Max Preps thinks this will be a very close game. Hickory Ridge 38, AC Reynolds 36. Less than a touchdown margin here between these two teams. So let's get to know AC Reynolds a little bit. 7-3 on the season, 5-1 in conference play. We noted that they lost to West Forsyth. You see they had a close loss to Shelby, only 15-12. That tells you they're a pretty good football team. They've dominated. There's a weird 6-5 game against Asheville in there. That's a little oddity, but that's a rival game for sure. But you see they are playing well at the right time. They've won 4 in a row, dominating those 4 teams, no matter how good or bad they are. Erwin is a playoff team, but I don't think the other 3 are. But they're playing really good football coming into this game against Hickory Ridge. You look at their stats and see what kind of team they are. They got a sophomore quarterback in Tolbert right there. And then they got Craig, who has a little bit better numbers as far as touchdown-interception ratio. So I guess it's a freshman leading the team in rushing yardage. They're very young, and I remember, when I read about these guys in a couple different places, that was the big theme, is they're young in key positions. You see Akeem right there, the leading receiver as a senior, but it looks like he's got a brother right there who's pretty good too. So when you got a young team going on the road to take on a veteran team in Hickory Ridge, who is really trying to get over what they've done in the playoffs the last couple years, which is, get knocked out early. Usually it's a tough thing because Hickory Ridge, I think, is going to be super motivated. They feel like they can have a special year based on what they've done so far this year and the leadership they have in all the right positions. The stats on the Hickory Ridge, you see Alex Bentley, one of the best quarterbacks around, 22 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, almost 2,000 yards passing. He can run it. We know that very well. We've seen that, of course, most notably in the Chambers game. They're balanced in the run game. Fisher and Carey have about the same amount of numbers. And they'll interchange those guys a good bit. Carey, the bigger guy. Fisher, more of the speed guy. And then receiving, you see on the season they're balanced, but we know what Christian Hamilton can do. He's the top 2023 player in the state. Saban McLaughlin committed to Davidson, having a big year right there. And then you got Higdon that can make some plays. Harris as well. And they will use Carey out of the backfield. And he can, rumble with the ball coming out of the backfield as well. So, very good offensive attack for Hickory Ridge. On defense, they've got some guys that can, do some special things as well. Pemberton is a good corner. Rogers Freeman is a hitter. Don't let that size fool you. At the safety position, Hamilton will play some defense as well. Kyle Perry at the linebacker spot. I love him on the inside. Talented young man right there. Trey Overton, he had a great game against Lake Norman when I was there. I think he actually won Defensive Player of the Game. Really good player coming into his own right there for sure. And then we start talking about the kicking game. That's a big deal. And then the Filthy Five offensive line. Cade Goldman leading the charge right there. Justin Long, Kenneth Turner, Isaiah Bullardick, the best quarterback in the state. If y'all remember that play that was on Twitter. And then Will Lang, a really good kicker, doing a great job for those guys. So I like Hickory Ridge here, despite the analytics that Max Preps puts out there. I think when you got seniors in the right places and you got great coaching, led by Jupiter Wilson, you got a young AC Reynolds team coming in. I like Hickory Ridge as the favorite here, for sure. All right, let's check the comments here. Let's see. James, I think you're talking about Marvin Ridge and Catholic Game of the Year. Lots of talent on both sides. Yeah, I'd agree with that one. Kyle, oh no, Max, it's all based on numbers. And sometimes you get, some teams have big scores against, lesser competition. It skews the, projection on that. So it's all numbers when they go to the score predictions on Max Preps, for sure. All right, let's see. Let's look at number 10 Chambers hosting number 23 South Caldwell. 10-23 matchup in the bracket. South Caldwell coming in here at 7-2, while Chambers comes in at 9-1. South Caldwell ranked 38th in their class according to Max Preps, 4-1 on the road, while Chambers is number 2 in their class and 5-0 at home. And Chambers has by far the best, well, I won't say by far, but I really enjoyed Chambers' atmosphere. Oh my gosh. Solaire just hit one out of the stadium for the Braves. That's why I had to stop there. Good gracious. My Lord. Y'all got to check that out. Go to Fox and look at that. That was crazy. I've never seen a ball leave the stadium. But anyway, Max Preps predicts a Chambers victory of 37-29. So they're saying about a touchdown victory here for Chambers over South Caldwell. Now let's get into South Caldwell. Now I've got some history with South Caldwell. When I coached at Myers Park, they were our second round matchup in 2014. And the thing about it is they could not handle our athletes in space. I remember their coaches telling us after the game how fast we were. And we only had a couple of fast kids, so. But South Caldwell, 7-2 on the season, 3-2 in league play. Taking a look at their schedule here, they got a lot of close victories. West Caldwell, Hickory Hawks, Newton Conover, 2 overtime win over High Brighton, which is good. Big loss to Watauga, who's probably one of the better teams there. A close win against Freedom, and then a loss to High Brighton. They played High Brighton twice. Oh, that's interesting. COVID, crazier things have happened. Look at their stats, get an idea what kind of team these guys are. All right, so 115 passes on the season. Not really any big numbers there throwing the football. I like how they threw that in there, 3.8 GPA. That's cool. I like that, South Caldwell. Awesome. Recognize that GPA. Well, you see that kid Connor is a running quarterback, 664 yards on the ground. And you see Wilkerson right there, 1,038 on the ground. So they are definitely a run-first team. 394 rushes to 115. Looks like they probably got some zone read and option type stuff thrown in there with the kind of carries that he has, Connor, at the quarterback spot. And they're probably throwing off play action. Pretty decent numbers right there, for a run offense. Those 3 receiving threats in Robbins, Everhart, and Eggers right there. So discipline's going to be big, obviously, going against a team with a running quarterback like South Caldwell. Now, we have seen Chambers have issues with their running quarterback, but let me caution you on that, because those plays kind of happen off scramble situations. It looks like South Caldwell is more of a run direct base offense with their quarterbacks. So, much different there. You can definitely game plan a lot more for structured runs versus off schedule runs, for sure. And then Chambers, we know a lot about what they have on that side of the field over there. No stats, but we'll go through the roster to highlight some guys that most of you are familiar with. Kevin Concepcion at the receiver spot, incredible talent. Bubba Camp at the quarterback spot, dual threat kid. Can do it all. And then Hollywood at the running back spot should have a 5-star already. Don't know what they're waiting on. And then Jordan Thompson at linebacker, the next one out of that great linebacking tradition that is developing at Chambers. I've seen Cam Kennedy kind of move to the backfield as another threat to go with Hollywood. I like Smith at DB, and he can also help in special teams. Makai Bigelow, he's listed as DN, but he can do just about everything. Pierce is a terror coming off of the edge, for sure. Booker is a really good receiver. Wright's another really good receiver. Walker is speed personified at the position. Dymere Edwards can come in and throw dimes from the QB spot. Brody is a good DB. Carter is a really, really good DB who's coming into his own. They got a lot. They got a lot, man. I love Jackson Bass the past 2 years. They get into a special team situation. Benitez is cool under pressure. He's been through it. There's a lot to love about this Chambers team. And I think this is shaping up, to be a good matchup as long as they're disciplined on defense and they shut that running game down. Offensively, I really like what I really love their matchups. I really love their matchups offensively. I think they've got the athletes to really give South Caldwell some problems. And let's go back to the bracket right here, because if the projected seeds hold, look at what we got sitting in round 2. We got a Hickory Ridge Chambers rematch hosted at Hickory Ridge if the seeds hold here. So, and my goodness, I'll tell you right now, if that happens, we're going to be at that game. Because what we saw the first time, it was great football. I'd love to see great football, especially this time of year. All right. Let's see here. Let's go to our next. Do we see we got any more matchups here? Oh, yeah, we do. We got to jump down to 3A. We got 2 matchups in 3A we want to feature. So let me switch brackets. It's going to take me a minute right there. Let's see here. We'll just do them off the usual preview right here. Let me find them real quick. And then I'll tell you guys on Football Focus Weekly tomorrow night, we'll discuss some other games that I'm not discussing tonight because I want to hit as many games as we can. But I pick about 10 for Between the Lines because you see the detail I try to go into, and I want to be here all night. Let's see here. Where are my 3A games at? Be patient with me. There we go. All right. And I'll tell you right, this is the game me and producer are going to. We're going to see Cramer 5-5 at West Charlotte 6-3. This game is at Waddell. West Charlotte is the home team, and they were playing their home games at Waddell all year long. So it's our first time going over to Waddell. I used to coach at Waddell for 2 years. Be pretty cool to get back over there. All right. That being said, Cramer ranked 17th in their class. West Charlotte ranked number 1 in their class by Max Preps in 3A. Let's see those rankings just out of curiosity since West Charlotte is number 1. Well, it says 35. It must be the full. Okay. Well, in 3A West, they got West Charlotte number 1. And the big reason why is strength of schedule according to Max Preps. They got them over Dudley, Crest, Kings Mountain, everybody. West Charlotte's number 1 3A West team. There you go. All right. A lot of people think West Charlotte has a chance to really do some damage in the playoffs. In this game, they are predicted as the winner, but very close, 33-28, less than a touchdown victory over Stuart Cramer. All right, so Stuart Cramer on the year at 5-5. They're in Belmont, if you didn't know. Drive past. Well, I don't go drive past the school directly, but I drive past it every day. I live out in Dallas, the home of North Gaston. So 5-5, 3-4 in the conference. They got a win over East Gaston, which is a good win. They're a playoff team. Close loss to South Point. Hung in there with Crest for a while. And then they hung in there with Kings Mountain. And they were right there with Forestview. So they've played playoff teams pretty competitively. They hadn't really gotten beat down this year. They've been in all their games. And they've won a couple of games convincingly. The thing you see, these guys score. You know, even when they lose, they're scoring. The lowest point total they had this year was 16 against Crest. So they're gonna put some points up. The big reason why they're gonna put points up is the quarterback, special player. We've talked about him before. We've interviewed him before. Justin Roquemore. 1,856 yards, 22 touchdowns on the season. And then you see he's rushes for 611 yards and 7 touchdowns on the year as well. Dynamic dual threat guy. Leading rusher and, of course, leading passer, and he's only a junior. You see Hamilton is the secondary threat right there with 411 yards on the ground. And then throwing the football, he's got multiple guys he connects with, Bentley being the leading guy with 40 catches, and he's got Johnson and Britton 34 and 36 respectfully. Hamilton has some ability out of the backfield with 17 catches as well, and then there's Ward down there with 12. So, I mean, this is not a team that, is going to just, come in here and lay down. I mean, I think we have the potential for a big-time offensive kind of game right here. So West Charlotte defense, I think, has, some things they have to really focus on here. Now, you flip it over. Now, what Cramer does, West Charlotte can do the same exact thing. So you take a look at West Charlotte, no stats. Come on, Coach Griner. But I'll tell you about some kids on the roster. So, of course, the quarterback Josh Mahaffey has impressed all year long. He has thrown 7 touchdowns in a game, most notably against West Meck in a big game that they needed to get the number 1 seed coming out of the conference. And Terrius Carpenter is a very good running back with some great ability to break big plays and get out in space and do some things. Kyrie Faust will come in at the running back spot as well, and he's got some game-breaking ability. Of course, Chance Morrow, big-time receiver committed to Louisville, making big plays on the outside. And then they've got a couple of guys on defense I like. And Nancy Coleman a lot. I love his film. He never stops. He's got one of those guys that's just got a motor that's continuous. Elijah Simmons is the big-time D-lineman threat right there at 6'3", 265. You got to get him blocked if you want to do anything in the run game. So West Charlotte has their own amount of talent. And like I said, this is the game me and producer are going to be at. I'm looking for some highlights, some big plays, and I think it's going to be some fun football on Friday night for sure. And we've got one more game we're going to look at tonight on Between the Lines, and I just got to find it. Oh, let's see. Where are you? Porter Ridge Reagan's going to be a good game, but that's not the game I'm looking for. Oh, I must have passed it. Where did I go? All right, well, anyway, we'll talk about it tomorrow on Football Focus Weekly because I can't find it. Thanks for watching. Oh, Coach Dean, thanks for watching, man. Dub is back. Yes, Justin is a good player, man, for sure. Once again, thanks everybody to watching Football Focus Weekly tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. Tune in. We'll have the crew with us, and we'll go through a lot more games. We'll do our final rankings on the year for the Dirty Dozen, CMS Best of Last, and the county rankings. And we may have a couple surprises in there. It's Football Focus Weekly. You never know what you're going to get. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching Between the Lines.